So welcome everyone to the September 22nd CAN board meeting. Turns out Patrick Gilbert was double booked and cannot attend, so two of the agenda items don't have anything behind them today, which is good because it was a long list to begin with. Let me quickly display the plan for this evening. So everyone can see the CAN website?
Yes.
So today we have consent agenda, and then Helen will make the case for allowing Sulpher Springs to come on board. I will seek your input on a special meeting in October. Kathy, and I see Mike's here as well. They'll give us a quick update on how the candidate forum went for any of you who couldn't make it. Helen's got some slides on what's going on with South Slope. Neither the revisit board and general membership dates and times nor the neighborhood meetings will be on the actual agenda tonight. And then Sharon and Alan, who continue to attend the boards and commissions meetings, will give us a brief update on that, and then we'll see if we have any new business. But I would like, let me take this down. I would like to take this opportunity to have some people who are in attendance who haven't been here before with us, maybe introduce themselves and say a couple things, especially those new faces I haven't seen that are city staff associated with neighborhoods. So Christina, could you go first, and then maybe you could introduce Meredith and just say a little bit about yourself before we hit the agenda.
Sure, thanks for the opportunity to do that first, Rick. I appreciate it. I'm Christina Israel, and I'm the new Community Engagement Manager with the city. I'm part of the Communication and Public Engagement, or CAPE department, as we refer to it. For those of you who are familiar, this is Brenda Mills' old position, and it was vacant for a while, so I know they were happy to fill it when I joined in May. And so I've been with the city for 5 months now. And we recently hired our new neighborhood services specialist, Meredith Friedheim, and she's in her first week with us, and she is on this call with us as well, so I'll give her a chance to say hi. But before I do, I just want to reiterate about her position that it is incredibly relevant to all of our neighborhoods because she's here to support you all. So if you find yourself in need of pointing in a direction within the city, who do we contact about this? Or you just need support, contact Meredith and she'll help you out. And for all of you who have regular neighborhood meetings, if you would like for either Meredith or myself or someone else from the city to be there, just reach out and we'll do our best to attend. And I'll put both of our emails in the chat real quick.
Hi, everyone. I'm Meredith Friedheim. Thank you for introducing me, Christina. I'm, like she said, brand new, just started on Monday, so I am really absorbing everything this week, but I'm really excited to be in this role. And yeah, please do not hesitate to reach out and get in touch, ask me any questions. I live in the South French neighborhood, so I am familiar with Helen Hyatt. I have not been very great at attending those meetings as a resident, but I am excited to be involved as a City of Asheville employee. And yeah, thank you.
So welcome both of you. We have these meetings every month. We have a board meeting, and pretty much every other month we have a general membership meeting, and those general membership meetings as of late have typically featured somebody from the city talking about a topic that's of interest to the neighborhoods. So okay, with introductions behind us, let's move on to the agenda. First thing is the consent agenda, which includes review of the treasurer's report and the last meeting minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Are any board members in opposition to approving the consent agenda? Say nay if you are. Okay, I take that as unanimous support for the consent agenda. Next on the agenda is Helen talking about a new neighborhood that would like to be part of CAN. So Helen, go ahead.
Sulpher Springs is a new neighborhood that is formed, and they are in West Asheville, I believe, and Carol Myers is on this call today somewhere. And they are newly formed, and they've only just been confirmed with the city. Our bylaws state that a neighborhood have to be active for 3 months before they can oh, it's a big echo. Before they can become a member of CAN. And so I'm asking the board for a motion to accept them before their 3 months are up, because they would very much like to be a member of the board, of CAN board, and I would like to see them join. So I'm asking the board for someone to make a motion to allow them to join, and then we can vote on it. And if Carol is here, I can't see her, but she was in here.
She's here.
Oh, there she is. Okay. She could just tell us whereabouts their neighborhood is and where they're at with their thing, and then we can have a motion.
So let's get a motion in a second, and then we can have debate. So Sharon, I see your hands up.
Yeah, I make a motion that we accept Sulphur Springs gladly into our CAN family.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Second.
Second. Okay.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Any debates? Carol, would you like to say a few things about what's going on in Sulphur Spring, maybe before we have any debate?
Yeah, thank you for considering our application. We have become a member of the city neighborhood group, however you want to name that. And we're having our first neighborhood association meeting tonight. We have developed a website and introduced that to the neighborhood using the over 400 people who have given us emails on the petition that we signed for Save Sulphur Springs Park, this 4-acre forested land, woodlands across the street from my house. And we've also become involved in the conversation or the vote last night of the Planning and Zoning Committee on the Woodland Development Project, which is also in our neighborhood, very close to the 4-acre woods parcel. Actually, this is an area of town where a lot of development is going on. It's destructive of green spaces and so forth. And so it feels urgent for us to get involved and empower ourselves as a neighborhood. So thank you for your consideration.
Very good, thank you. Any comments or further questions from the board? Okay, I hear none. I don't see any hands being raised. We have a big group here today, so if somebody's off screen, just yell. Okay, I think we're all right. Since this is the second time in a year that we have, made this kind of decision, I think it always requires a roll call vote, just since we're not conforming to our bylaws. So I'm going to do roll call vote now. I'll go down the list and just a yay or a nay when I call your name. So Debbie Applewhite.
Yay.
Joel Atyus.
Yay.
Byron Ballard.
Yay.
Alan Eskibitz.
Yay.
Tom Paran. I had muted you before, Tom, because you were sneezing, so I saw your head go up and down. I'll take that as a yay. Steve Joyner.
Yay.
Is Barbara on? Barbara Melton? Okay, she didn't seem to make it. Sharon, you already seconded it. Stephen Edge,
I joined late, so I wasn't familiar with it, so I'm going to abstain.
okay. Will Hornaday,
Yes.
Helen,
Aye.
Kathy Kyle,
Yay.
Susan Feinblatt,
Yay.
Dan Rogers,
Yay.
Steve Rasmussen,
Yay. Excuse me, yay.
Margit Strout,
Yay.
Bob Williams.
Yay.
And I will also vote yay, so that's many, many yeses and one abstain. So Carol and Sulphur Springs, welcome. As
Yay for me too.
Joe, I'm sorry, you, as of last meeting, you no longer have a vote.
Okay.
So welcome to the team. And if we have any further votes tonight, you are then eligible to vote on behalf of your neighborhood. So
Thank
welcome.
you. I look forward to sharing this wonderful news with the neighborhood this evening at our meeting.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. Okay. Next agenda item is special October board meeting plan. I had hoped to come to this meeting with a couple of dates that I could get you all to vote on. Basically, every board member who's here, we have talked to you about a proposal that the executive committee is working on for what might be the future of CAN to help us go even farther than we have been able to go. And that proposal is coming together, and it's going to take a full meeting, a full face-to-face meeting to consume the information, speak with an expert that we're going to have available, and make a decision and take a board vote to proceed down a slightly different go forward path with staffing and volunteerism than we have here today. So since I couldn't pin down some dates, I have options for you all. We'll publish this in the notes, so you may not need to memorize it. Our options are Saturday, October 29th. All the other Saturdays in the month are kaput for one or more of the executive committee meetings, executive committee members. And any Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday evening in October except October 12th. So what I'm asking the board members to do is to email me with currently known conflicts during those dates. So for example, if you know you're going to be out of town and not in a position on Saturday, October 29th, just send an email to me for that date saying no can do. Okay. But then look at your calendar, starting with, let's see, October 1st is Saturday, second Sunday. So October 3, 4, and 5, do you have known conflicts for those dates? Okay, and then go on for the subsequent times. I'd of course love to have every board member in attendance, and I'll do everything I can to work around the constraints that people have. But I'd ask that you do that within the next week. So I'm going to give you a week deadline to give me constraints in writing for all the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays in October and October 29th. Alan.
Are we talking about an evening meeting then?
Yeah.
Oh, starting time about what? 5 again?
It depends on what constraints people have. So people have on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, if you have something that runs, you know, for an hour from 5 o'clock till 8 o'clock in that time frame, just tell me what the time conflicts are as well.
Okay.
You know, I collected back in the day when we first started doing virtual meetings, I collected known conflicts from all the board members, but now that was when we had like 7 board members. Now we're up to 19. So I don't have that for everybody at this point in time. So on those Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays, give me the can't and book from the whole night, or book from 5 to 6, or book from 7 to 8. It's going to take some attention, so I don't really want it to go late, but I know some of you who are new, I'm not sure that you're always available at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock on a weekday. So just give me what you got. I will start narrowing it down as soon as I start getting everybody to give me their dates. Okay, any other questions on that? We're going to save all of the detailed information about the future plan for that meeting. We'll be providing documentation in advance for where we're thinking, who we've consulted with, where our opportunities might be. So you'll have the opportunity to come as educated as you're willing to read the content. The expert we have is unavailable on Thursdays and Fridays, so we couldn't just put this in the planned board meeting. I forget what day in October it is. It just he couldn't attend, so that's why we need a special meeting. And we'll continue to do business as we are up until that time. Next,
Hey, Rick, Bob Williams, quick question. Can I?
Yeah.
I read the earlier information you sent out, and the one thing I'm wondering whether might be available prior to this meeting you set up is just the financial arrangements, and how's it going to impact neighborhoods in terms of contributing to supporting the consultants? Will that be available prior to the meeting?
should be yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, that's a good question. Yep. Anybody else? If you think of something later, don't hesitate to send it, email the president at asheville-can.org. Right? Yeah, our goal is to make you as prepared and, make it just a good, solid meeting with lots of good discussion about how this is all going to work out. So please, we'll have time. Okay. Mike, Lewis, and Kathy, you guys have something you want to give an update on the candidate forum and what we learned and didn't learn and how you think it turned out?
So see, looks like Michael stepped away, but I'm sure he'll be back, hopefully. But anyway, we had the forum at the East Asheville Library with the city council, sheriff, and county commissioners and the 2 candidates for mayor. It was a success, I think, on many levels. We had about 130 people attending, which was actually over what was allowed in the library. There's only supposed to be 100, but yay for that. And a lot of people put in effort to make it a success, including, a lot of you who came and helped to set up. Michael, who did arrange the location, got the sound system, ran the sound system. Rick, of course, who moderated, did a great job with that and creating a presentation, PowerPoint presentation. Bailey, who got us started on the primary and kind of got the energy, I think, going behind it. And she also did a recording of it. Barb, of course, is always good about spreading the word. And Tom cheered us on from Maine. So hopefully Michael will be back. But yeah, I think it was a good thing. I think only in the future, one recommendation I would have is just to have a sign up or a way to recruit people at these meetings. So don't have any details of how we could do that, but I think that would be a good option. But yeah, all around, I thought that also people who filled out the survey that we sent out about what they wanted us to do this time, I think was a good thing, and we did do that, had it in person. So am I leaving anything out, Rick?
I don't think so. Board members or others here who attended, any thoughts or kudos or anything people would like to share?
I thought it was a huge success. I was just thought it was very, very long. It was a marathon.
Yep.
3
Joel,
hours.
I saw your hand up.
Is there a recording of it available somewhere for those of us who weren't able to attend?
Yeah, go to the CAN website homepage. I sent an email out with that, and the
Okay.
homepage has a link to
Okay, sorry. Thank
more
you.
details and the recording. It's a 6-part recording.
Okay,
So
all right, thank
it's
you.
almost 3 hours. Margit.
I enjoyed it. I learned a tremendous amount, so it was really good.
Super. Anybody else? Alan?
I did hear from the sheriff's public information officer, Aaron Sarver, that the sheriff was out of town at a state sheriff's meeting in Raleigh, and that's why he couldn't attend, and apologies were sent through Aaron to me.
Okay. Hey, Mike, you're back. We're just chatting about good stuff that happened at the forum. Kathy kind of filled everybody in on what was there. You have anything you'd like to add or changes you'd make going forward?
Trying to unmute. I'm sorry, I had to take that call, but no, it was, I'm glad it's over. It was considerable effort and a lot more anxiety. We never did figure out how to both Zoom it or stream it and record it. So Bailey did the best she could with what she had. I think everybody should lobby that every new remodel of a library in Asheville should have a sound system as well as a video system. And Tom owes us a lobster dinner because he wasn't here. So, yeah, I think the reception we got and everything really went well. There's some things I would do a little bit differently, but like I said, I'm glad it's done, and I think maybe we made some money on it. And make sure that you get out with that link to all your neighborhoods so that they can watch the candidates.
So I got some written feedback from a couple people. One echoes what Helen said. It was long. I think in 2 years when we do this again, we should have a good long conversation about whether to do 2. One for city candidates, one for county candidates. Because some of the other feedback I got was while we were focused on the city, the county candidates were going to sleep and in their phones, and while we were doing the county stuff, the city candidates were asleep and on the phone. And if we had smaller number of humans in the room to do, we could handle more questions to them, right? Because to handle 14 people with questions, we could really only, and give them any time to answer, we could only really give, we only gave the sheriff 2 questions, and I'm sure there were more than that. But it was a good learning thing, and got a lot of positive feedback as well. So, Mike?
Next question, though, is if you have 2 forums, are you going to have any decent attendance? Because there's going to be overlap between the voters. Just something to think about. There's 2 sides to that coin.
Yeah, maybe we should poll our after this election. Maybe we should poll our neighborhoods and see if they want both. That would be the other way. And
get your questions in early.
Yeah.
We were talking about questions as early as June, and we were getting questions the day before, in days after I submitted questions to you for your planning purposes.
Right.
And one commercial, next Tuesday evening, the city council meets on the Jones.
Hold it. If this is not election related, we have a whole new
okay.
business section.
New business. All right. I'm sorry.
Okay, and I have new business from another attendee as well. Debbie, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, what we could do is, after putting together a list of questions, if it needs to be narrowed down, send some of the questions to the candidates for written answers and do a handout at the end of the program.
Yeah.
So that there's additional information and we can promote CAN and the website, but it's printed as opposed to simply verbal that night.
Yep.
But that way you get more questions in a shorter time period.
Yep. Okay, anybody else? All right, let's move on to Helen and the South Slope overlay. And you want me to show slides, right, Helen?
Yes, please.
All right.
So this overlay plan has been in the works since 2017. So it's a long time passing for the city to get this together and present it. But I think a lot of it was delayed because of the pandemic. So the area that we're talking about is what's highlighted on this map here. The top is Hilliard Street. The left-hand side is Ashland. The right-hand side is, this is the baseball field, and you can see it's just past Biltmore. So I just wanted to show this to you so that you could get an idea of the area that they've been looking at. And I'm not sure what prompted it or why they wanted to do it, but the city feels it ought to be looked at and sort of planned. They do have issues like at Memorial Field and the tourists because there's no parking there. So they have ideas of where to put some parking and how to handle that. And the brewery area, which is rapidly growing, they also have parking issues. So they want some things. A lot of new housing is going into that area. So there's a significant amount of changes in this area. The city has been very anxious to rezone Ashland West for about 8 years now. And Ashland West borders the South French Broad neighborhood. The reason I wanted to bring this to you today is it's very significant in that the proposed rezoning that they do, if you could show the next map, please. The areas that they are proposing to rezone are the ones that border neighborhoods and single-family homes. And it's the first time that they are proposing to put CBD abutting a residential zoned area. So they are at this point wanting to call it CBD with modifications, being that there'll be some height differences and there'll be some setbacks and there'll be some things. They are wanting to expand CBD down through the central corridor, which would make sense up towards the hospital, and that makes good sense. The three neighborhoods that are affected, Oakhurst, East End Valley, and South French Broad, are all very concerned about how this will affect them, because not only does CBD have, there's very few use, you can do whatever you want if it's CBD. It can be a big music venue, it can be a restaurant, it can be whatever you want. It's CBD, and then it's up against a single-story brick ranch area. This area is also all the urban renewal land that was originally taken by the city in the 70s. And so it's very sensitive in many different areas. All three of our neighborhoods are not particularly happy with this because we are unsure what the next step is. It's going to council next month, and they are going to approve the overall plan, and then it's going to go back to the planning department for them to fine-tune what this proposed zoning in A is going to be. And what we're concerned about is we all know conditional zoning is the developer's favorite tool. So once this has been rezoned CBD and they say, okay, it's only going to be 4 or 5 stories, which is what has been suggested, what is going to stop that builder from immediately going and wanting another couple of stories, and then saying when we want less setback and we want less this, because they always ask for all these things regardless of what is zoned. So I wanted to bring it to everyone here to speak with them about it, because this is the first time it's happening. And this will create a precedence for all other neighborhoods down the road. And so I feel like everyone should be paying attention to it. And the two neighborhoods that are affected on this are attending this evening. So I'm not sure if they'd like to add anything to this. And then if there's any questions, we can take them from now. If you go to the third slide, Rick. This one's a little more difficult to see, but this is what the recommended strategy. So I'm not going to go through all of this because it's this overall plan is about 94 pages, by the way. And I just chose these 3 pages, which just so everyone would know approximately what area we're talking about and the different things that they're thinking about. They are acknowledging that all of the things that I've said to you that are acknowledged in this plan as being an issue, that they need a different building form, they need this, they need that, you know, that they are some preservations. They've acknowledged all those areas, but they still want to use the words CBD as the zoning and then make tweaks to it. So Jay or Sharon, is there anything you'd like to add to this before I ask if there's any other questions from other folks?
Jay, do you want to go first, or do you want me to step in? I might as well, since I opened my mouth as usual. Sharon, representing Easton Valley. This is very sensitive for my neighborhood, which is a legacy neighborhood. And most of the people that are on our executive committee in our neighborhood association are families that have been there at least 100 years. So they're, when we go to meetings, we get what it was like, what happened and what it's like now. And I have a written statement of what they've said, which I won't read because I have to be careful that I don't speak specifically for my executive neighborhood association without their okay. But basically, we have, which is an Easton Valley, Memorial Stadium, McCormick Field, and Mountainside Park. And right now that is zoned commercial industrial, and they want to make it all zone CBD, which basically will mean that it will be out of Easton Valley say on the development. They have specifically South Slope is South Slope, Easton Valley is Easton Valley, and they don't want that area considered South Slope. It is Easton Valley, and they don't want any reference. It's how it's been, how it's always been. Our neighborhood is basically, I'm going to say 100% reparations. So they want to say and what goes on with their neighborhood without the city coming in and saying what they want to do with the neighborhood. So we've got eastern boundary issues. We've got, like I said, Memorial Stadium, Mountainside Park, McCormick Townhomes. We acknowledge we need parking because everybody that comes in to use those stadiums and McCormick Field park in our neighborhoods and create all kinds of problems for our local neighborhoods. So we're all for parking, but we don't feel like we have enough say. We have made statements before. We've written letters before, and there was one meeting that we attended, but our voice doesn't feel like it's being heard. So we're sending letters, and I have attended meetings with Helen and Jay to talk about the transition areas and what it looks like to be in that unknown zoned area. So I'm being kind of cryptic for a change because it's not mine to be more specific other than to say the neighborhood is feeling like they're not being heard, haven't had enough meetings, they're not being represented representative, and it's going to council before it's being fully fleshed out. So that's the concerns at Easton Valley.
Thanks, Helen and Sharon. I'm Jay Alsadi. I haven't met many of you before, but I'm the current president of Oakhurst Neighborhood Association. After Joel convinced me that that would be a good thing to do. I'll just add a little bit. This was actually on City Council's agenda for endorsement last month, and several of us were not going to be able to attend the meeting, so we contacted council with written comments, and they were getting similar input from the three bordering neighborhoods. So I'm not sure if that was the main cause or it was just a contributor. So it was pulled from that agenda and postponed to next month, as Helen said. And I think one thing that caught their attention was in the written input. We did say that, hey, the neighborhoods feel like they haven't really been consulted on this. So we're in the process of trying to just ask for a meeting, face-to-face meeting with at least the three adjacent neighborhoods, and whoever from council would attend, and the city points of contact on the plan. And we're about to send that request, and we'll see what happens.
Does anybody else have any questions or thoughts?
So I think Tom was first and then Alan.
Unmute, Tom.
You have to unmute, Tom.
Sorry, Helen. Helen, do you foresee this happening 6 months, a year? Any sense?
The timeline?
The timeline, exactly.
Well, if it passes council next month and then they start doing that, I'm not really sure what it would be, but I know that everybody is very keen to have it done. I know South Slope and all the businesses down there, everybody's very enthusiastic.
They want that, yeah.
And so there are some large parcels that are on the market right now in that area, especially one called Lighter Towing on the corner of Choctaw and Ashland. And I'm sure they're waiting for that to change. And then they can go from, they can, be a lot more profitable sale for that property. So I'm sure there's a lot of people.
Okay, thank you.
Alan, and then Margate, Steve, and Will.
Okay. I did walk the property that's being proposed, or the area, and also attended the chamber meeting downtown at Wicked Weed, which was headed mostly by the same attorneys, developers, business people, and several members of CAN were also present. And, my perception is that the city is going to push for this development, but it's going to have negative consequences for the neighborhoods. It's going to further promote gentrification, which in turn will raise property taxes in the legacy neighborhoods, and homes that have been in families for several generations will see increased property taxes, and some of those folks may be in a situation where they may no longer be able to afford the home that they've been living in and their families have been living in for several generations. So I'm not in favor of it, but the city, like many cities, is growing and looking for new areas of development. But I think the city needs to be really cognizant of its impact on the neighborhoods adjacent to this proposed development. That's all I have to say.
Okay, Margit.
I just have a question because I'm new to this. What is CBD?
Central Business District. That's everything that's down, the hotels and high-rise buildings. You can go up to 140 feet, like 20 stories. It's a business area and business, everything very close together, no space between it. There's very, less noise rules, it's central business.
No trees, very little green infrastructure.
Right.
Okay, Steve.
I've got a bit of experience with this from working over the years with the Ravenscroft Reserve Initiative, which is trying to save the last parcel of old growth there in that very area. And although the plan does have, the rest of the plan does have, promises of stormwater absorbing greenway along Cox Avenue and so forth, which does have terrible flooding. I noticed in the excerpt that Helen showed the giveaway. I mean, the big con job that we're dealing with all the time now, where city council says we're providing affordable housing by incentivizing developers through letting them off the hook on rules and regulations. So like somebody pointed out about CZ, that's where they negotiate these things. Okay, you can have extra height, less parking if you give us a token percentage of affordable housing. And meanwhile, the increasingly dense development is driving up the property taxes and driving out all the affordability. They do this in lieu of actually lobbying the state legislature to allow the city to require more affordable housing. And it's just atrocious to see this happening yet again. And I think we really need to start like tearing away the Wizard of Oz curtain on this game. And that's for another meeting, obviously, but to me, I just see it, here we go again. And that's my comment.
Okay, Will.
Helen, for the conditional zoning, is it possible to force supermajority versus simple majority on at both P and Z and council? That would kind of force a better projects coming through. That was my only question.
Because that decision is so far down the pike, and that there is nothing actually planned at this point, and so this would happen maybe 5, 6, 8 years from now. So I don't know if you can write that into a coding. Perhaps you can write anything into coding. So if they make a special kind of a zoning, that they have to write that in there, but I would have to research that because I'm not sure if that's possible.
Okay, thanks. Kathy and then Debbie. You need to unmute, Kathy.
Thanks. I'm just wondering if there's any action that could take to show support for these neighborhoods. And also, is there anything being done to alleviate the tax burden of these people who own these houses for so long? Are they considering that?
The tax burden is more, they are aware of it, and various things have been talked about within Buncombe County to try to implement something like South Carolina has, which is when you get to 65, your property price gets set there and then it stays there. But apparently our legislature overrides this, and that is not possible for North Carolina to do. So I'm not really sure what else can be done at the state and county level, but that's where we'd have to rest, and that would have to be, we'd have to have meetings with those folks to see what is possible. And what kind of support will Patrick, who's government relations, was going to be helping as well to we really want this meeting that we were promised before it goes to council to be able to speak in person about exactly what's going to happen and have our questions answered. And so I guess pressure on the city to say, we want this meeting before it goes to council, or we will be writing to council and we will be showing up and it'll blow up there. So it's better to get it resolved before it heads off to council.
Okay, Debbie?
Basically, this is all about dollars. What the city wants is more structures so that they can tax them. And they really don't give a flying flip about the neighborhoods.
They won't be taxing them because there'll be affordable housing and there'll be Luigi grant and there won't be any tax anyway.
When it's CBD and you get all these commercial buildings, there's plenty of tax, plenty of tax.
It's the land only.
So I think I'd try to answer on behalf of Helen and Jay and Sharon. People seem to be upset by this seems like there's lots of good reasons. I think it would be great if more board members would take that upset attitude and pitch in with these 3 neighborhoods, and based on the desire to have these meetings, maybe get together as a little committee. I'm sure you could contact Helen and feedback to the rest of the board what we could be doing, right? Because we don't have a development leader. We couldn't get anybody to take that job. But we can form ad hoc committees under government relations. Patrick's not here to protect himself, but he can't do all the work because he's already working on development notifications and some other stuff. But those of you who are incensed appropriately, let's see if we can get stuff in front of the rest of our board members who will take that to their neighborhood members for fear that they will face the same kind of pain at some point in the future. And let's go quick and get these letters out to city council members and phone calls and all that kind of stuff to at least get this meeting. That would be it. I'm gonna anoint Helen as the receiver of this, especially since I'm gonna be away for better part for an entire week, and I don't plan to read canned email every single day while I'm away. So, you know, those of you who've raised your hands and have concerns, step up, contact her, ask what she can do. Let's get something blasted out and get all the neighborhoods to get behind us. Sharon, did you have something more to offer?
Yeah, I was going to say, and you offered it, is take it back to your neighborhood associations and write letters as your neighborhood collectively, because it will affect your neighborhood. If it doesn't do it now, it will be later. And I think the neighborhoods as a group are very powerful. And when you go back and have your neighborhood meeting and collectively write a letter, I think that's very powerful, personally.
So the thing that's worked the best when we've tried to do this in the past is we give the neighborhoods a paragraph with the salient points so that they don't have to read all the fine print and all that sort of stuff. So I was hoping that between Helen, Sharon, and Jay, you could, you know, give them the 8 or 10 points about why the city council needs to get in front of neighborhoods and make this happen. So it's not that everybody's doing a form letter, but at least they're hitting the strong arguments about why this needs to happen before the city council meeting, and then feedback to the neighborhoods what happens if they do have the meeting, so we can raise hell again at city council, if that's the case.
We can do that.
Okay. Let's see, where are we? The next 2 things are not here because Patrick's not here. Alan and Sharon are the last of the CAN board members that are still slugging it out in the boards and commissions headache. Maybe Steve may be back in on it. He was away. So Alan and Sharon promised to give us just a brief update on where we are with the boards and commissions reimagination, restructuring, whatever it is. So take it away, you two, whoever wants to go.
I'll start out and kind of encapsulate we've had 2 meetings. As a matter of fact, the last meeting was today from 1 to 3, and they've been successful. I'm surprised. The first meeting was a hybrid, with a meeting at city building, and then several people participating online. And then we finished off today. And I'm surprised that we were able to accomplish what we did accomplish. And that is a survey that's going to be going out to current and past board and commission members who have served. And the list is anybody who's served within the past 10 years. And we have a pretty comprehensive email list now of those individuals. I think there's well over 400 names now with email addresses. And the plan is, now that we've finished a draft today, it will be going to the working group, the boards and commissions working group, which originally had, when we first started, about 50 some individuals participating, but it's been whittled down quite a bit by attrition. And today and last week, we had about 9 people who wanted to help draft this survey instrument. And it's going to ask, I'll just kind of briefly mention the types of questions. It will ask questions such as, do you have a quorum? How do you meet? Do you meet, live or through hybrid or all on Zoom? Do you feel that your meetings or your work has an impact on city council? How well do you work as board members? What are your expectations in your service on these boards and commissions? How many boards and commissions do you serve on, or have you served on, and so forth. So there's a number of questions. It's probably a total of 26 questions or so that have subparts to them. I should also mention that the city of Asheville has withdrawn its timeline to restructure the boards and commissions. So that, for the time being, is off the table. It's also pulled back its initial plan on realignment because those of you who were involved in this back in the early part of spring, the city was at one time talking about a realignment or restructuring down to 4 boards and commissions from the 20 that it has now. Well, that is really off the table too. So they're rethinking all of that presently. The next meeting of the working group, which is comprised of mostly all community people and maybe a half dozen to 10 city people who also participate, in 1 council member, will be the 29th. And this draft survey then is going to that group for comments, and hopefully we'll be able to come to closure if that's possible. But we'd like to think so. It will take a couple weeks for the survey to go out to that group of boards and commission members and past members. It'll take time then for the data to be analyzed, which will probably be towards the end of October. And then there'll be, I'm sure, a comment period for those who are members of the working group, as well as, I'm sure, city folks. So that's all I have to report on, but I'll probably have more information coming forth in the next couple of weeks. Sharon?
No, you covered it, unless anybody has any questions.
Yeah, we'd be glad to take any questions.
Oh, you covered it if there's no questions.
Thank you.
So Gwen isn't getting her way, right?
Exactly.
Yes, that is true. And
Bravo.
she's coming off consul, which is
Right.
for those of us who've been serving on or currently or past boards and commissions. I think the city has received the message and hearing the pushback and backing off for the time being.
Okay. All right.
I just want to, you guys, thank you very much for sticking with it. I had to pull back, and it looked very contentious from what I could see the last couple of months. So the news from you that actually there is progress going on is really, really a relief. So thanks again.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Will. Yeah. Thank you, Will. People who aren't speaking, could you mute, because we're getting echoes from somebody's speakers feeding back into their microphones. Okay, we're good. So new business, I know Mike tried to sneak one in, so I'm gonna let him in first, and then Stephen Edge has something after that. Mike?
Well, I'm going to sneak another one in. Thank you to the committee and all the people who put in work on the candidate forum. Next Tuesday, City Council will finally vote on what to do with the Jones Park. And for those of you who don't know, there was a playground built by volunteer labor and donations 20 years ago on the Jones School grounds. Parks and Rec maintained it for 5 years, and then it passed to city schools, and they didn't maintain it. And it was inspected a year ago in August and found to be dangerous. And in September, with a little notice, they bulldozed it. My neighbor, David Rogers, thank you, has raised and had raised by November last year about over $300,000 to rebuild the thing. And this has been working its way through the Byzantine structures of government, downtown, county, city, and city schools. So finally, city schools said, yeah, we'll support this thing. And it goes to city council next week. And one of the things they're going to have to do is say that Parks and Recs will maintain this thing for 20 years. One of the issues I'm sure is going to come up is equity. There are about a dozen parks south of 240. There are 3 parks north of 240. So the North Asheville elitists are not getting something special from the city. And if you stood out on my front porch about once a week, you'd see the kids from the daycare center down here at Grace Covenant Presbyterian Church going over to the park. And it is a kaleidoscope of various hues of skin color. So everybody gets to play in the park, and it has been an institution that's been enjoyed by people in North Asheville and this part of Buncombe County and my 7 grandchildren. What I'm getting at is, please send a 1-liner or 2-liner to City Council this week and say you support the park. They're having trouble taking the gift. They can tax the hell out of us, but when it comes to reversing things and giving something to the city, well, we got to think about this. And this has also been a lesson in how awkward intergovernmental relations are. So please send an email to City Council supporting a vote to take on take the gift and maintain the Jones School Park for 20 years. Thank you very much.
Any comments or questions from anybody? Helen?
One final comment. I sent a letter of congratulations to, or an email to David Rogers, and he wrote back to me that I thought I was kidding, but I was really serious about it, that the parks would probably be named, could be named after him for all the work he's spent on it. But he suggested that the park might be named after Candice Pickens, who was murdered at that park in 2016. And that was his thinking. So I think that's a great suggestion on his part.
That came up in city council, and I have a few reservations about naming a children's park after a murder victim. I think maybe putting a plaque there might be a little bit more appropriate, but let's get the park first. Then we'll pick about the other stuff.
Right.
Okay. I'm going to move on to the next new business. Stephen Edge, you've got something you want to bring to our attention?
Yes. So I'm in East-West Asheville, kind of the Haywood Road corridor between 240 and the river. And so just want to give neighborhoods a little insight as to Greyhound and the Greyhound bus kind of situation. Most of us know or if you've been around for a while, Greyhound used to have a actual terminal on Tunnel Road on the opposite outside of downtown area. And I think that closed maybe 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 6 years, give or take. It's kind of bounced around since then. It was in East Asheville across from the municipal golf course at a gas station for a while, where it was a drop-off pickup, but not actually a terminal with any facilities to support it. It moved to the intersection of Patton Avenue and Haywood Road at a closed-down gas station. And recently, it popped up in West Asheville on Haywood Road at the corner of Haywood and Michigan Avenue. We've spent a good bit of time between the city and with Greyhound over the topic. There's not really, because there is no terminal, there is no zoning that impacts where Greyhound can do their drop-offs and pickups. But it's a bit of a traffic nightmare, and it's you got lots of complexities. So Greyhound is going to be back in the Asheville area. Their regional representative to look for a new location, and so that is just it's a complex topic when you have a 53 or whatever length foot bus parking on a sidewalk in what is basically a mixed use type of neighborhood of business and residential. So I do not know where and who they will contract with as a location next, but it could pop up anywhere at this point where a bus can pull off into a gas station, a parking lot, and contract with a property owner to use that space for drop-offs and pickups. But the big concern that we've seen is this activity happens from 4 a.m. until 11 o'clock at night. And when you have that with zero facilities to support the customers of Greyhound, there's no restrooms. There's very little rain cover from the weather and elements, so on and so forth. So it's more of an awareness topic that Greyhound will likely be moving locations again, and there's really not any zoning that exists to impact how that decision is made. Back to zoning complexities in the city of Asheville. So no action to be taken that our neighborhood has really has identified for CAN, but more just an awareness, and that we're working with the city and Greyhound to understand how to find a more appropriate location for it.
Okay, thanks. Kathy, I see your hands up.
Yeah, I was just wondering, are you saying that they're just they just stop on the side of the road? There's no seating or anything? I mean,
Yeah. So they just contract with a property owner, say a gas station or another similar property where you can kind of get off of the road or pedestrian access, but generally they've been parking in a sidewalk for 20, 25 minutes as they do loading, unloading, and other, whatever timing they expect to be there. So yes, it's really, no services offered by, no facilities offered by Greyhound to support their customers.
what about
Helen?
that station downtown where they
Yeah,
have?
and my question was, why can't they use the bus station downtown? Why will the city of Asheville not let them use it?
That's a definitely a topic of conversation that we're engaging in. I think the city has some reservations around that, but that was the first suggestion, is like that. Let's put it where it's actually zoned as a transit terminal and where services are available from that standpoint.
And the infrastructure.
Yeah, sorry, infrastructions. Yes, services. That's infrastructure is a better word. Thank you.
Yeah, and they can also catch the bus, or people can use the bus, and they're more, anyway.
Okay. The only other new business, I got an email from a member encouraging Ken to get behind a meeting that's coming up. I don't have the details in front of me, but since we elected not to have a school board forum, and as Mike has so eloquently stated, he is like so glad that the last forum is over. I don't think anyone's going to raise their hand to hurry up and put another forum together for school board. But with permission from the board, I would gladly, get it out to our membership that there is a school board forum coming up in not too long, and just get the word out there that, Ken would be in favor of everybody attending to the best of their ability. So if nobody's got a no on that front, I or Helen or Patrick will get something posted on the website and out to the membership, just informing them of that, since we've been so active in all the other elections.
Could I just say that the 29th, it's not next week, it's like next week right now, with the Democratic headquarters on Old Fairview Road. It's at 6:30 Thursday.
Thursday today.
The week from today.
A week from today.
A week from today.
Okay.
So I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Maybe spread the word around and draw attention to this.
Yeah. So email will go out to all of our members, and we'll go out to all of the board members, and then it's up to the board members to trickle that down to their neighborhoods. It's always good to be informed to make the right decisions to vote. Any other new business? Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn? There's one from Dan. Can I get a second? One from Helen. Anybody opposed to adjourning? All right, well, everybody have a good rest of the weekend, and and please remember to send me your conflicts for the special board meeting. That's really important. So thank you so much, everybody. Have a good night.